So, one, they thought the students were dressed cool, but take a look at my shoes here. And then my other shoe, you can't see back there, man.
Oh, you gotta put it on that.
I can't, I can, she thinks I can lift my foot that high. And in the directions, they said wear nice shoes. So you got nothing over me. So I thank everyone for being here. I missed yesterday. I have a cold. I'm barely speaking, but if my voice cracks, don't laugh at me because that's where it's at. So I'm here because you all have an incredible opportunity to really do something, to really make change in the schools, the students, the staff, and the foundations. It's been my life in New York, New Hampshire. Yeah, sit in my seat, it's okay. I got my notes all there. And with Big Picture Learning that I started in Providence. And a lot of people ask me, how have you kept this passion going for 45 years? And here's what it is. I was just in Finland. They pulled together 100 innovations from around the world. And I was talking about Big Picture Learning and the Met School. And this was, where's my slide thing? See if I do it. Press green. So that wasn't. Yeah, why do so many schools suck? Okay? Sorry to say it that way, but that's what it's about. There's a lot of good things going on. There's Youth Build, there's the Met, there's other groups, but too many schools are very bad, okay? And we got to do something about that. And then here's the next thing, okay? Is that 5 years ago they did a survey, and they asked high school kids, give me one word to describe high school. What do you think they came up with? Boring. So it's pathetic, we know it. We know that schools are boring when we have these energetic students and we still keep going. But then what's worse is last year they followed up the study and they asked the same question. And here's what, well, I'm a little slow here. Boring and anxious now. Double bad. It's one thing to be bored. It's another thing to be bored and nervous. What's going to happen to my family? Am I going to get out of school? Am I going to get a job? And that's real. Those things are real, and we got to do something about it. It's embarrassing to me that we all know this, and that's why I've dedicated my life to trying to change this. And here's who I am. When I personally get pissed off, I get angry for a few minutes, and then I gather together friends, people, and try to make change. And that's what I'm here to kind of serve as a model for all of you. Doesn't do us much good to just be up here and saying stuff's not very good. We got to act. And I'll keep referring. Whoa! I'll keep referring to my T-shirt that I can't touch. That's the Martin Luther King. The time is always right to do what's right. So I'll keep referring to that because we can't be saying this is nice. Once a grant cycle goes, then we'll start again. This is nice, but I'm 11th grade. I'm about to graduate. I'll let the 9th graders do that. We got to do stuff now. The time is right. We can't put this off. So Elliot Washer and I were working at Brown University in Providence. Brown University was not doing enough to help the public schools. The Rhode Island Department of Education wasn't doing enough to help the public schools. So that's when we started the Big Picture Company, okay? And we said, how do we do this? How do we get people to really change schools? And we've been doing this for 22 years. Andrew is now co-directing the company with Carlos, and we're continuing to move ahead. The first job, we got an opportunity to start a school. And so Elliot and I really closed our eyes and said, if we didn't know there was such a thing as school, what would it be? It wouldn't be a science class, 45 minutes, ring a bell, go to an English class. That's not what life is. And this is where this all fits to the conference because it's about listening to students. It's about finding their interests and passions and engaging them. And that's what we did. And it's not boring. They're not anxious. Everyone kind of laughed at us when we started in 1996. 4 years later, when our kids graduated and everyone got accepted to college and big scholarships, and the dropout rate was 2%, the dropout rate in Providence was 46%. You know, 96% of the kids went on to college, and people started saying, oh, you can have fun, not be bored, and get a good education. And basically it goes like this. Kid comes in as a 9th grader, you help them find their interest and passion, and then you say, let's go in the community and find an adult, a business that has that same passion. Then let's put you with that person and work 2 days a week as 9th graders. Well, you bored already? She's walking out? Shouldn't hear. I'm trying to embarrass her. Yeah, I got her. Okay. And then when they come back to school, they don't go into regular classes. They say, what's your project out there? How can you help at your internship? So they're always doing real things. And that's why kids come to school all the time. That's why kids don't drop out. And here's an example, how you have to listen to kids. And sometimes it's hard, but you got to trust, okay? There was a girl who wanted to study Tupac. So I'm being this cool principal. I say you can study whatever you want, so I guess you should study Tupac. So she knew every one of his songs. When it's time for an exhibition, what we do is we have students stand up in front of a room, and they, you didn't like my chair, huh? I thought this was my microphone. And they talk in front of their parents, in front of their colleagues, in front of their mentor, and the room was filled. And I was a little embarrassed. It was funny, because 9 weeks studying Tupac, and her mom was sitting there. I was kind of hiding behind a couple of the kids, hoping the mother wouldn't say, what the hell's going on, studying Tupac. But it was an amazing exhibition. A year and a half later, I walked by Jackie, and she had just come back from a trip to South Africa where she got to meet Nelson Mandela, and she was setting up a peace conference in Rhode Island. I couldn't have started her with that. We started with Tupac, and her advisor said, hey, there's some other cool guys that are saying some stuff. Why don't you read about Malcolm X? So, and it builds on the strength. This kid that won the national flower contest that was in Providence, and he was a kid who couldn't read. Everyone in the school thought he was a genius. We worked on his reading, but it wasn't obvious in front of everybody, and he had a certain kind of way of looking at things that he could lay that out. It wasn't a kid contest, it was an adult contest. So those are the kinds of things. We find their interest and we go. And that's why you'll see, if you say, oh, how we can't do internships, New Prophets supporting us with this program called Emblaze that figured out how schools, districts, cities can organize that all. So people can go out, and Andrew's in charge of that. So I tell you this not to brag, well, brag a little, but really to show you that schools can change and that you guys got more power than you think you have, but you got to be supported by us, okay? We can't pretend anymore to listen to students. It's what Jody said at the beginning. You know, we can say, oh yeah, that's nice, but if we don't do anything about it, then it's just lip service. So you wouldn't be in this room if you didn't really believe that. So then the question is, how do we take it to the next step? Jody also mentioned, how do we make this a movement? So one of my favorite books is The Long Haul, and listen very carefully to the words. This is a guy who started the Highlander Center down south, trained Martin Luther King, trained Rosa Parks, but here's what he says about a movement. A long-range goal to me is a direction that grows out of loving people, caring for people, and believing in people's capacity to govern themselves. If we don't have that for the students, we're joking ourselves. We're kidding ourselves. The way to know that they have the capabilities is to see something work on a small scale. I've seen it in the labor movement. I've seen it in the civil rights movement. I've seen it in the anti-war movement. I assume that if we ever got wise enough to involve enough people, it could happen on a larger scale. So that's what I see us being here. We have little pieces of excellence, We got to get together and make it a movement. So who liked that quote a lot? Anyone like that quote a lot? No, you were curious. You smiled a lot, so you get my book, all right? So, coming to the end, I'm not even looking at my time. This won't be easy. Nice words I'm saying, nice words you've been saying yesterday and today. It really means you have to take risks, okay? That if the students stand up, they may be called to the principal's office and say, she nodded right away. You're causing problems. We got to protect her. If students are going to speak up, and always respectfully, then we got to protect them because they're powerless. There's a kid that wrote a book. He was in high school in New York, and he compared the students to prisoners of having no rights. And so that's where we have to partner together. And this is something I really like. If you don't stand for something, you fall for anything. Okay? So this is a chance. Let's get clear. Let's care what we stand for. Let's be clear that we're going to go after it. And then we just won't follow anything that comes along. I personally keep getting fired when I stand for stuff. So stop laughing. You done? Okay. But I'm still standing here, right? Ain't the end of the world. And you know what? It doesn't feel bad because I'm doing what's right for me. That's what's important. So the last time I got fired, it backfired on the people that fired me. Somebody wrote a book, then NBC did a movie, and something like 30 million people watched it and got to see what good education is, okay? So what I do is I make tapes of that illegally now, trying to really get famous. It's called A Town Torn Apart. Who wants my illegal tapes? Let's see it. Give it to that woman back there. You don't get it anymore, man. Jody will pass them out to her favorite people. But I would put it in your bag so you don't get busted on the way out, you know? Hope there's no lawyers here. Yeah, she's my favorite already. What else do you need? All right, I'll give you something. So here's the thing. What we've been talking about helping this underserved population, helping people who think differently, helping everybody, doesn't just happen, doesn't stop at K to 12, okay? 9 years ago, I started a college called College Unbound. And it's for people returning to college. It's for all those kids you're working with that went off to college and dropped out when they were 19, dropped out when they were 20. Have a low-paying job, 2 kids, can't move. They ain't going back to school at 2 in the afternoon because they have a job. They're now 35. They're not going to sit with an 18-year-old who thinks they know it all. And so we started a college that we figured out a way how you can go full-time, how you can work full-time, how you have a strong cohort, and it's the same thing. I'm trying to convince people that these are the same people we're working with and then get ignored 10 years later. And when I get old, I'm going to start a nursing home. That's next. So keep in touch with me on that one because I know they suck also. So, and I just want to, I'm coming to an end. As I said, students need to be protected in all ways, okay? And I made a sign that I take to meetings, and big shot meetings with the governor, with the commissioner. It gets everyone angry, and I set it down on the desk. How does this decision affect kids? Because we're in a room, and we're talking about a budget, a kid's name's never mentioned. We're in a room, we're talking about changing a schedule, kids never mentioned, okay? So I also made postcards, because you can't take my sign. So if there are people who want this, Jody will pass these out. So just when you're at a meeting, you set this on the table, and it's just a way to keep reminding people.
I'm just going to give a couple to everybody.
Okay. Maybe you too can get fired. So you never know. So this is my last page. We can't tweak around the edges, please. We've been doing it for too long. You know, putting math and science together ain't the answer. Adding 10 minutes onto a class, not the answer. Doing a project that's the teacher's project is not the answer. It's about listening to the students, finding their passion, helping them passion. Then the rest they take care of, okay? So this is my other piece. If you're not standing on the edge, you're taking up too much space, okay? If you're here, you care at another level. So how are you going to say, I'm going to take that next step and get on the ledge? That's what we're talking about. So we'll hear next the passionate students, but that's not enough. Because here's the thing that I say every time. This is great. We could walk out of here and say, wow, did you hear those students? Did you hear Dennis? Did you hear the speakers yesterday? But if you don't do something different Monday, forget it. Was not worthwhile. Okay? You got to be saying, what can I do next? And it doesn't have to be gigantic to start, but how do you start to make a change wherever you are? Being a teacher, being an administrator, being a student, that's what we got to do. And this is where my T-shirt comes in. Where's the regular mic? So I also made postcards. And don't be raising your hand. Take the goddamn postcards. Where the time is right. I have certain things on my desk at home that motivate me. And one is, because I'm a little bit of a maniac, it is what it is. That calms me down. I have this too. I can't wait till next year to do this project. I gotta do it now. So who feels most passionate that they're ready to work to make change right now? Who in this room? You do? Come on up here. Come on up. Yes, I'm undressing. Andrew, help me. I'm taking my shirt off my back for you. Hold on, Andrew.
I'm taking the shirt off his back.
You get this shirt.
Yay! I didn't even have to wear it.
And I happen to wear it. All right, you can sit down now.
Okay.
Talk. And I happen to wear, I will end with, happen to have another shirt on. Nothing about us without us is for us. And this came from nothing about us without us is for us. And it's for kids who have differences, adults who have differences. It's for, I use it in my college. I'm inside the prison. I have 100 students inside the prison. When they get out, they come into a gateway class and then get a bachelor's degree with me. I use that too. It's too much that adults are making decisions for the people. So you guys should be saying, nothing about us without us is for us. Let's hear you say it. Nothing about us without us is for us. Peace. Thank you.